Tier list update number 3, going into season 3. Like always, we're going to be updating this progressive tier list every single week with all the tuning and patching that's going on. We actually haven't had any changes this week, but I've also been able to test more of the specs. So we are going to have a little shuffle around, and we're going to do that every week until launch. Okay, so Frost DK is going to stay exactly where it is. I'm pretty sure, I mean, there's one other contender, but I'm pretty sure this is still the best DPS spec in the game. Enhancement, however, I'm going to drop down to the middle of a plus. I didn't quite realize how big this Tempest nerf was that they recently gotten. I think I just kind of overestimated how good this spec was. So we're going to drop the Enhancement Shaman down a tier into A+. Right, so Havoc Demon Hunter is going to stay exactly where it is. This spec, I'm yet to see a very good Havoc Demon Hunter consistently, like against other good specs. I think this spec could easily slot into the S tier. Also not helped by Vengeance being very good right now. So I don't like to hold other specs back based on what else might be in the comp, but like this is teetering on the edge of being S tier. So Arcane is going to stay where it is for now. I've tested out some more Arcane this week. I've actually played Spellslinger. I think a lot of people have swapped to Son of Fury, which I think is actually better than Spellslinger. But even so, Spellslinger was still very, very good, especially inside its cooldowns. It's still going to be deleting those prio mobs. It still does amazing cleave damage and single target damage as well. It just has been heavily hurt outside of its cooldowns, even in its mini burn. So I think maybe it was a little bit higher than what I'd rated before, but I think this is a solid placing for Arcane now. That being said, though, its mage counterpart, the Fire Mage, I am going to bump up to the S tier. This spec is just always cranking damage. It did lose prio damage because you're now going to be playing Sun Fury Fire Mage instead, which means you're going to be playing Flame Strike most likely. So you did lose your prio damage, which is super sad for the spec because that is like the most ideal damage profile you can get in Mythic Plus. But it just always has damage, has amazing consistent AoE damage. Its single target is incredible as well, which is very valuable to bring in Mythic Plus. So we're bumping Fire up to the S tier. Just a super consistent spec all around. Shadow, we're going to keep in the A+ tier, pretty much where it is for now. Yeah, I like it there. Still bringing very, very good single target damage, some of the highest single target damage in the game. And then in AoE, it's feeding all of that into a priority mob as well. So a very strong A+ for this Shadow Priest. Destro, I'm also going to leave where it is. This spec is very, very good after the recent buffs, and the dungeon pool for Season 3 is kind of playing into this spec perfectly. It's always big pools. Destro does very well in these big pools, as we know, even outside of its cooldown. It is still a cooldown reliant spec. It has great single target as well during cooldowns, but it really shines in those mass AoE pools where it can get its Rain of Fire chugging along. Right, what do we have next? We've got Demo. I think I'm actually going to move up Demo because after the recent buffs to Diabolist and also Soul Harvester is still performing well after the slight nerfs or bug fixes to the Soul Harvested tier set. Demo is just, I just think it's super slept on. So I am going to move it up in the A+ tier. Where am I going to put this bad boy? I think I'm actually going to put it there. Like, this might be my hot take, but I just think Demo has incredible single target damage, incredible cleave, incredible mass AoE. It has very consistent damage. It's got a good damage profile on a 1-minute cooldown, bigger damage profile on a 2-minute cooldown. A lot of its consistent damage comes from its tier sets and its hero talents as well. I think Demo is very, very good. Ret Paladin, happy with where it's currently at. Like, I'm going to keep it in the middle of the A+ tier. It's doing a lot more single target and also just overall damage in general, but I don't think I want to rank it any higher because I think its prio and single target does still hold it back. Assa, I'm going to keep in the same place. BM, I'm going to keep in the same place as well. This spec is still performing very solidly after the tier set nerfs. It's still definitely worthy of an A+ tiering. Boomy, however, I am going to drop down into what will be the top of A tier. We'll get onto that. I think I underestimated how hard the tier set nerfs hit Boomy. So we're going to drop this down. It's just lost a lot of prio, a lot of single target damage, and therefore a lot of overall damage. It still is a very, very good spec. Like, the top of A tier is an amazing place to be. But yeah, I don't think it's on par with these specs that are in the A+ tier. So I'm going to have to drop that one down. So, Marksmanship Hunter then. this is a spec that I can just never seem to rank properly. It's been turbo broken this whole time, and no matter how many nerfs it still receives, it's still turbo broken. It's one of the best specs in the game right now. It's maybe got the best AoE in the game as Sentinel Marksmanship, and it's maybe got the best single target in the game as Dark Ranger Marksmanship. So it's very versatile. You can play sort of whatever hero talent you want right now. It's doing some insane damage. It always has damage as well. So Marksmanship is going to go in the S tier. Actually, because of its lack of utility, I'm going to put it behind Fire, I think. Okay, Frost Mage. Now, after testing Frost Mage this week, I'm actually going to bump this spec up. I think this spec is super slept on, and it's kind of just overshadowed by the fact that Fire and Arcane are just better. They are better, but my god, this spec brings it all. It's got amazing mass AoE damage, ridiculous single target damage and prio as well. It's got good cleave damage. It just brings everything that you would possibly need. And yeah, playing it through the week, I didn't realize how good this spec was. It just always has damage regardless of the encounter. It brings it all. So Frost Mage, we're going to bring up to the middle of the A+ tier. I think this spec is, again, sort of similar to Demo. I think these specs are both like very slept on right now. So another spec that I've tried and tested this week is the Unholy Death Knight. Now, I've been playing the Commander of the Dead build, so you go down the right side instead. And my lord, this spec pumps. It deletes in AoE on a 1.5 minute cooldown. It does do slightly less damage outside of your cooldowns. Like, I mean, it still does decent damage on your 45-second Apocalypse Dark transformation windows as well. But basically, your Maguses are doing the majority of your AoE damage now because they hit up to 8 targets. So this bridges the gap in your cleave as well, because Unholy is normally like a king of mass AoE, a monster of mass AoE, and it doesn't really do amazingly in like lighter cleave. But that has now bridged that gap. And the Magus also pumps on single target as well. So Unholy is pumping on single target as well. Like, I was pretty much topping bosses, or at least topping boss damage on Unholy. You got super short cooldown, so especially in those higher keys, you're always going to have that kind of damage. I think Unholy is looking very solid going into Season 3. Again, overshadowed by Frost DK. But I am going to put Unholy in the A+ tier as well. Look at this. I think this is pretty accurate so far. Class balance actually looks like pretty gosh darn amazing going into Season 3. Do you guys agree with that? There's obviously some outliers, but I think they're going to bring these down a little bit. But there is a lot of specs like kind of in this middle, because like even A tier, I know because of the way that the tier list is weighted, even in the A tier, like these specs are very, very, very strong specs. Feral, I'm going to keep in the same place. A very solid pick for Season 3, doing some great damage, and the A tier is a great spot to be. I want to keep reminding you guys. I know it looks like it's not great, but it is a very, very strong spec. Same goes for Survival. I'm going to keep that where it is. Ath, I'm going to keep in the A tier as well. They're pumping too, and it's nice to see that their single target damage has also been brought up. Elemental, again the same story. Lacking on single target damage, incredible burst inside its cooldowns, but going to keep that in the A tier. Outlaw and Sub are going to stay. So the A tier for now is going to stay exactly how it is. However, we are actually going to bump up the Devastation Evoker into the bottom of A tier. I think I sort of underrated this spec a bit. I played with some more devs recently, and they are actually shitting out damage. So I'm going to bring them up to the A tier. They've got some nice utility as well. They bring Bloodlust. Arms Warrior, I'm going to keep the same. Doing decent damage. Again, the single target kind of shocked me. The mass AoE is always good from Arms, but it is just a warrior. So it's being held back by bringing no utility to your group whatsoever. Aug's going to stay the same. Windwalker's going to stay the same, which I feel harsh about because I don't know. Windwalker's still, like, it can be good. When played by the right person, this spec can be good. But Windwalker is now going to be, in my opinion, the worst spec going into Season 3. Which feels like I'm doing Windwalker like hard done by. So I do want to bring Fury up. even though its damage profile is turbo ass, like being hard capped, especially in the dungeons that we're playing in season 3, like there's a lot of mass AoE. But even in those pools, like Fury is actually doing some decent damage. It is only hitting 5 of those targets, but it is shitting out some great damage on those 5 targets. It's just obviously not everything's being cleaved down efficiently like it would be if other specs were doing the AoE damage. So that's the tier list update for week 3. Like I said, we'll be updating this every single week going into season 3. We got Frost DK at the top with Fire Mage and Marksmanship Hunter. I do think Havoc and Arcane could maybe slip into that as well. Down the bottom, we got Arms, both of the warrior specs. We've got Aug, and we also have Windwalker, unfortunately and harshly at the bottom. Now remember that all of these specs can clear within like 2 or 3 levels of the highest keys that are being timed in any of these seasons. So you guys can invite them to your groups, okay? Don't shun your nose at like a Windwalker signing up to your key. If it's a good Windwalker, they're going to be able to pump out damage, and they're going to be able to do, like, let's say, more damage than a spec that's in the A tier, or maybe even the A+ tier. Who knows? The problem with this tier list is class balance is so good right now, in my opinion. Like, look how many, it kind of feels ridiculous putting this many specs in the A+ tier, but class balance is so good right now, and so many specs are doing so well, that it makes the B tier look bad. But a B tier is normally a good spot to be in. Like, if you're bad, like if Windwalker was bad, it would be down in like C or D tier, right? Like by itself. But B and up, like you're in a good spot. You're going to be able to do very, very respectable damage. You probably got good defensives, maybe good utility, but sometimes the damage can carry for that. But yeah, it's unfortunate, like the weighting of how this tier list is looking, because I do appreciate that it makes these specs look like really bad, but they're just not.